All right, so let's create a slide just like this one from scratch. First, we're going to just add a new blank slide. And we're actually going to get rid of this text box because we don't need it. And then we're going to add in the background, which is this gray gradient I have saved as a JPEG file. And I'm going to go ahead and just drag that bottom corner down. It's proportionately the right size image. It just needs to be stretched. And so now that I have that, I'm going to create a couple little guides for myself. I have the ruler shown here. If you don't have that in your presets, what you do is you go to the View menu and you go to Rulers, and this would say Show Rulers if it wasn't already shown. You'd select that, or you can do Command R. And so what that lets you do is it lets you click on the ruler and then drag down these handy little guides. So when you want to, align things, it just allows for more precision in terms of your placement. So I'm actually going to look to see where my guides are here. Whoops. And here they'd be at about the 400 mark for the left edge. And yeah, 6.6 for that. So I'm going to set up the same things here. So I'm going to move the guide to the 400 mark and the 6.6. Okay. So then I'm going to add the first bit of text. So I'm going to click on the text box. I've got some text here. It's going to say spam is, but I want it to be in white. So I'm going to select it and go to my color menu and choose the white. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag it over here, but it's not the right size. It's much bigger. It's more like a 75 point. So let's go ahead and make that 75 point and then align the S to the left edge and underneath to that bottom edge. And then I could create another text box, but I find it to be faster to just go Command D, which duplicates that text box. So I already have it in, white and different font. I don't know, just personal preference. But obviously that's not what it's going to say. It's going to say deceptive. Oops, deceptive. And it's going to be in 222 point font. Woo, much bigger. And it's not going to be Helvetica. It's going to be this Wisdom Script AI font. So once I have that in the right size, I can, again, move it over and kind of align it to that bottom ruler. And then I want it to be a different color. Now I've already in the color palette, which comes out of this little box here, or this little icon here, I've already created the color I want here in orange, but if you hadn't created it yet, you could type in the RBG codes here. Your RBG slider comes from this little menu up here. And then you type in the actual codes, and then once you have that color, you can drag it to an empty space. Or you could, drag it over an existing space. Anyway, so now that's there for you, pre-programmed. Very handy. And actually, I forgot the period here at the end of this. So now I have to slightly adjust it. Move it a few pixels to the right with my arrow key. And then the final touch is to add these nifty little horns, which actually I had a graphic designer create those for me in Illustrator. So he drew those and he filled those in with a gradient version of the orange color we were using. Now I don't have that kind of skill, so I'm sort of going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to grab a copy of these horns that I got on the Noun project. They were actually part of a whole devil face, and I removed everything but the horns themselves. So they're not quite the same. They're not quite as elegant in my opinion, but they'll do the trick for this purpose. So you saw they were kind of big. I just shrunk them down. My default setting here is for images that the proportions are constrained. But if I wanted to change that, which in this case I do, I'm going to click the constrained portions box, unclick it, and then I'm going to be able to sort of tweak the width and the height of my little horn to be just as I want it to be. And I'm just kind of playing with it. I don't know what the exact is, but something like this. And now maybe I'll constrain them again so I can just shrink it to about this size. Now what I want to do is I'm just going to, again, Command D to duplicate that horn. So you see it's exactly the same, but I'm going to go ahead and flip it by using the horizontal flip. And then I'm going to move it over to this side. And then let's say I can't quite, I mean, you can sort of align it, but let's say I'm not precise, the trick to aligning them just so, other than creating another ruler, which you could do, and then moving them pixel by pixel, the shortcut is to select them both and then go to your Arrange menu and choose Align Objects, and I want them to be aligned to the bottom, so towards the lower one. So you see how this one jumped down? There's the menus usually also here in the Arrange, so let's say I wanted to, I'm going to undo them. Let's say I wanted them to be this high up. So then I'd select them both, and I want to align them now to the top, and now it pops that one up. But anyway, so those are just sort of shortcuts for alignment. But now I'm going to leave them right about there. And I kind of want a little more space between the spammers and deceptive, so I'm just going to grab all three of those and just a few pixels to the right. And there you have it. So here's our original, and here's our new one. And then you can clear your guys by just dragging them back to where they came from, and you're done.